Kelly,
Here.
Mr. Porter,
Here.
Mr. Bonner,
Here.
Ms. Corzine,
Present.
Mr. Dennis.
Present.
The meeting is being streamed live and digitally recorded. And Evelyn Vitito is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Bonfine is going to introduce her.
Come on up, Evelyn. All right, so Evelyn Vitito, a junior at Chillicothe High School, very involved in our marching band snare drum this year. I always forget with percussionists what drum they're playing each year. So, and we are just glad to be able to welcome her here to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Evelyn. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda with the addendum for today's regular Board of Education meeting? The addendum is under Superintendent Recommendations, item K.
So moved.
Okay, so we'll do Mr. Kelly and Mr. Porter seconding.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, what addendum?
It is item K under Superintendent Recommendations.
Okay.
It's
Notice of
disposal
notice
of
disposal.
broken equipment over at the
Oh,
CAG.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Roll, please.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Porter,
Yes.
Mr. Bonner,
Yes.
Ms. Corzine,
Yes.
and Mr. Dennis.
Yes.
All right, next is presentations. Ms. Swinehart, will you take us through those?
So we'd like to recognize Evelyn. Oh, there you are. She is the recipient of the Ohio House of Representatives High School Student Art Exhibit. Can you come on up? Here's this little certificate. We're recognizing that, and then also, yes, thank you.
Congratulations.
And then, oh, that's not on, sorry. Dana Letts is going to give us a presentation on curriculum and literacy.
Turn this down a little bit, not quite as tall as mine, or Evelyn for that matter. Is it on? Can you hear me?
I don't think so.
Did I turn it off when I pointed it down? Okay, well, I've got a big, loud voice, so I can use it as well. I'm Dana Letts, Director of Curriculum and Instruction for the school district, and I'm glad to have this opportunity today to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that you can look forward to in the upcoming year in a few of the particular areas that are areas of focus for us in the district. So in your packet, I believe everyone has a folder. And if you pull out the packet that says curriculum updates, you can follow along as I share with you some details that are not in the packet. So I started with just a district overview, things that are happening at the different buildings. When you talk about the primary and our pre-K, we're implementing a new phonics program, which I'll talk about when we get to the literacy section. We're integrating literacy across the curriculum. That means that even in the content areas, we're focusing on ways that we can improve our literacy scores through science and social studies, and even in the fine arts areas. We're also have an increase in diagnostic data for literacy improvement. We've looked at our STAR scores, which you hear us reference frequently. In the past, we've looked at them mostly to say, oh, this is where the kids are. Now we have put some processes in place that help us to answer the question, why are they there, and how can we help them succeed in moving to the next level. At CIS, we added in an additional reading coach. She's in her first year of training this year, so we're very excited to have that support in place. We also have our gifted supports in place located at CIS, but Dustin Tyler is going to be servicing everything from our early entrance students clear up through our 12th graders. We're continuing to expand on the literacy collaborative at the intermediate, and that's going very well. We're rolling at 3rd grade. We're pretty strong at 4th grade, and we're just beginning at 5th and 6th. So each grade level is at a different place in the implementation process. And the hope is by the end of this year, we will have full implementation in the building, grades 3 through 6. CMS and CHS, last year in the spring, they completed a curriculum alignment audit where they looked to make sure that what we were teaching was matching the standards that we were being asked to cover and that we were hoping that the students would master in the classes. They also have an increase in hands-on learning. We know that engaged students do better when they are doing things that they're involved in, they're up and moving, and they're solving problems, and they're building things. And so there has been an intentionality behind putting those kind of activities into the classrooms. Also, the students are tracking their own personal data. Each week they're setting a personal goal and an achievement goal. I know that Ms. Domo has been very active in setting that up, and we're seeing some great success with that. The hope is that we are raising students up through the high school that are able to take charge of their own learning. We also added some new courses. We added a financial literacy course, a second info technology course, and a marine biology course. So let's talk a little bit about literacy. Last year, we started doing BAS, which is the benchmark assessment system. STAR, which is our vendor assessment that we use for things like determination of on track and not on track, is a computer-based program. And we determined after analyzing our results that we also needed to answer the question, can these students read? And so we are using the BAS assessment. And what that is an assessment where the teacher listens to the student as they're reading and they take notes. And that helps them to know what specific skills that child needs to know. Do they need to work on fluency? Do they need to work on decoding? And that is part of our literacy collaborative initiative. And this year we will be administering the BAS to all students in kindergarten up through 6th grade. Last year we really took some time to dig into, is it matching the STAR scores? And we're finding that for the most part it is. So we are seeing both measures as being pretty valid. One of the things that we celebrated was last year in 1st grade, the average growth was 1.42 years. So even though our kids were a little bit behind, they made, as a grade level, they made great growth. And in 2nd grade, they averaged 1.2 years worth of growth. And this year, we'll be tracking using that same growth calculator, which Steve put together for us in a spreadsheet. So it will actually go through, as you put the levels in, it will calculate the year's growth. And so we'll be using that at CIS as well. We have a system in place to guide diagnostic assessments. If you look in your folder, there is a flow chart. We wanted a way to make it very easy for teachers to figure out exactly which skills every student needs to be working on. And so if you can follow along, and I'm not going to read through, I'm happy to explain it to you in detail later if you would like. But basically, they can start with their class list. They can start with each student, and they can go through this flow chart to determine if their needs are being met by core instruction, if they need to be considered for enrichment, or if they need intervention supports, exactly which skills you need to start working on with them. And we wanted to make that process simple for the teachers. We wanted to make sure we had the tools in place. And we really believe that that is going to continue to push us in the right direction on our literacy scores. As I mentioned earlier, we implemented a new phonics program. It is so far so good. It's going pretty well, but it is also diagnostic. It comes with an assessment that tells you specifically which lessons to start with each student. And we also leveraged an assessment team to reduce time lost up to one-on-one assessments. As you can imagine, picture yourself as a kindergarten teacher. If you need to sit down for a 30-minute assessment with a kindergarten student and there are 21 kids in your class, what are the other 20 doing during that time? And as you multiply that, that's a lot of instructional time lost. One of the parts of the Dyslexia House bill that we were really excited to see is they do require a school district to have an assessment team. So we were able to send in a team of assessors. They go into a classroom and they pull the students, and they can get assessments done in a shorter amount of time while the teacher is able to continue to instruct with the students that are behind. Gifted is a section on our report card. If you look in the presentation that we were discussing in committee, it talks a little bit about gifted and how gifted is going to affect our report card. And so we hired a gifted intervention specialist. Dustin Tyler is in that position. As I mentioned, he is working with all the way from early entrance up through 12th grade. He is housed at the intermediate school, and he is implementing something that we are calling PACE courses, which is personalized acceleration and career exploration. And so our students who are identified gifted will be participating in those courses. It's not a year-long course, but some of them might be 3 weeks, some of them might be 9 weeks, and they are all directly related to what is being taught in the classroom, but allows those students to go deeper. Another part of that PACE course is what we call talent recruitment. When you look at our gifted numbers, they're not aligned with what they should be. We are identifying probably 4 to 5 students at a grade level in the elementary schools when we should be closer to 15 to 20. And one of the ways other districts have closed that gap is through something they call talent recruitment, which means they are working with students in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, to help them to master those critical thinking skills that are so often measured on the assessments that we are allowed to use to identify students as gifted. So as Dustin builds these courses, those skills will be built in, and he will also be pushing into the primary to do a few activities with all of the kindergartners, all of the first graders, and we are hoping to up the number of students that are qualifying. And we also are reviewing the tools that we are using. We do know we use the Terra Nova. We are allowed to use star reading to identify within the subject area, so we're going to use that. But once again, I think we added maybe 3 or 4 kids per grade level, so we're going to review all of those. On the next page, our English language learners program is getting an upgrade. We've added an English language learner instructor. His name's Justin Myers. He also teaches 2 courses of social studies at the middle school, but he will actually be working on a rotation schedule, working with students in the other buildings as well as in the middle school where he is housed. And he's working very closely with the Central Ohio ESC. They have come down to meet with us for half day. They are coming back down on the 18th to help us work through things like scheduling and appropriate testing, and help him to learn how to service and us to learn how to provide a program that meets every one of those students' needs. STEM is going very well this year. We are fully implemented with our curriculum at the primary. So the focus for this year with our STEM program is both the preschool and the intermediate. We have 4 facilitators that are working cooperatively at CIS. They're specializing. So we have one that specializes in robotics, and one that specializes in environmental science pieces, and one that specializes in coding. And so they are pushing in with their specialization with 3rd through 6th grade, and it's going very well. The teachers have been fantastic. They're trying new things, and I hope you get to come visit because you're going to see some exciting things happening there. One of the things that we're seeing with our 3rd graders that they are carrying things over from this group of 3rd graders is the first group that has had the STEM program, kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd. And so some of the things that we're seeing is they are carrying over that accelerated vocabulary. Their written responses are showing some increase, which we're hoping that transfers over onto the state testing. We're also, they're thinking critically, and they're following procedures like scientific method and the engineering design process to solve problems. And so we were excited to see that transfer over. We're also adding in 3D printing courses for all students at CPS. We're beginning podcasting at CIS, and we have a fully vertically aligned robotics program that will start in December, kindergarten through 6th grade. We talk about our preschool for a moment. We're continuing to build the integrated curriculum. We have a STEM facilitator who's working to expand on their hands-on experiences. We're in year 2 of Literacy Beginnings, which is the precursor to Literacy Collaborative. And our beginning of year testing supports our investment in pre-K. If you look at that pie chart down there, 83.3% of the students coming out of our pre-K program tested on track. So that is a huge number for us. We're currently trying to gather data to compare that to other preschool programs that our students have come from. But that was better than we had anticipated. And many of those students tested at above our benchmark. So ongoing, just things that questions we're going to be trying to answer during the year is how are we focusing in our core curriculum? You know, what are the things that we're focusing on? How are we delivering personalized instruction? What are our leaders looking for in classroom observations? So we make sure that the things that we're deciding as a district need to be done are being done with fidelity. Are we leveraging all the adults efficiently and effectively to support struggling readers? That's something that we look at on a monthly basis. How are we measuring the effectiveness of the changes we're implementing? And are we leveraging our community resources to deliver a high quality education to every student? Are we taking advantages of the opportunities that come to us from within our community? So that's the update. Do you have any questions? All right, well, thank you very much. And I look forward to being back here next year telling you great things.
Thanks, Dana.
Thanks, Dana.
All right, next is public participation. We welcome visitors to this and all board meetings. The board desires citizens of the district to attend its meetings so that they may become acquainted with the operations and programs of the schools, and so that the board may have an opportunity to hear the wishes and ideas of the public. All meetings of the board are open to the public and the media. And just wanted to run through a few of the rules because we have a new participation policy. Limit remarks to 3 minutes with no more than 3 speakers per topic. Public comments cannot identify a particular district employee or student. The public participation portion of the meeting is limited to 30 minutes. And the purpose of the public participation portion of the meeting is for the members of the public to express viewpoints and public concerns. It is not intended to be a forum of discussion with the Board of Education. And I think you have the forms. We have
4.
4. Okay. Are they all on the same topic or?
One could be viewed as a separate.
Okay, let's just go through them in the order that you got them. That's
Yep.
fine.
So first, I have Terry Allen Davis. I don't think his mic is.
Promise not to belabor and take too much time.
See if we can, it's going to be hard to hear you, Terry.
If I could speak up, that would be easier. Okay. Yeah. I stand here before you as a citizen and former educator in the Chillicothe City school system, with concerns as to the direction regarding the lack of minority educators in that system. My entire educational training has come from the city schools, 1st through the 12th. After graduating from Ohio University, I returned to the city and was employed by Chillicothe. I taught in that system for my entire tenure. So if you will acknowledge, I have some background as to the system in which I taught. I know it well. I have seen the system garner that statewide recognition for its innovative curriculum and we who have taught during those years recognize that success. At that time, we had many minority educators in all aspects of the system. Unfortunately, many feel that the historic effort to access minority educators is no longer part of the zeitgeist of the system at large. We are also afraid that the few minority educators working in the recent past have found little support in that system. Perfunctory attention has been made to the acquisition of minority educators to the extent that minority students can go through their tenure in Chillicothe without seeing anyone who looks like them. This is untenable. Needless to say, the perception of Chillicothe City has received is of an institution either unwilling or unable to alter their most recent past regarding inclusion of minority educators. This must change. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Next would be Nancy Robertson.
My name is Nancy Robertson. I'm a member of the local NAACP. I'm here to express my concern about an issue in the city schools. My concern is the lack of diversity in our staff in comparison with the number of minority or handicapped students in our system. I have some information from the Center for Student Achievement Solutions. This article is called, "Why Do Schools Need to Hire Racially Diverse Teaching Staff?" Here is some of what I found, and I'm going to quote. Evidence suggests that having a racially diverse teaching staff is beneficial for all students, including white students. Recent reports from Brookings, REL Northwest, and the Center for American Progress demonstrate that students of color recognize benefits from having a teacher of the same race, including better performance on standardized tests, higher attendance rates, lower rates of disciplinary issues, better chances of completing high school, better chances of pursuing higher education. Additionally, REL Northwest explains that bilingual and bicultural teachers may have a greater ability to engage culturally and linguistically diverse students and to teach in bilingual settings. There is also evidence that white students benefit from having a racially and ethnically diverse teaching staff by becoming exposed to new perspectives, realizing an increased sense of civic engagement, develop better problem solving and critical thinking skills, expanding their range of creativity and social and emotional learning skills. Here are the numbers at Chillicothe City Schools as reported by U.S. News. 75.5% white, 13.9% two or more races, 6.7% Black or African American, 3% Hispanic Latino, 0.9% Asian or Asian Pacific Islander, and 0.1% Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander. As a retired county school teacher, I would like to describe my experience. I was close to my students, and many of them were comfortable talking to me about issues and problems. But I also had students who were minorities and students who were handicapped and used a wheelchair. Over the years, not one of them felt that he or she could discuss a race problem with me. How could they discuss that with me when I couldn't relate to that situation? I haven't been there. I understand why they wouldn't confide to me. We are depriving our children of a diverse education. Our schools should be there for all children in Chillicothe. We all know that our school district report card score is dropping. I believe that hiring more diverse staff could raise that score, reach out beyond our county to hire a more diverse staff, hire mentors to be there for the staff and for the students, develop a diversity program and a place where these children can go to discuss their issues. Please don't brush this aside. We know that this is important, and I hope that you think so too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Give me a copy of this.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Next would be Adrienne L. D'Souza. Did I? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Adrienne D'Souza. I'm the president of the Ross County NAACP. I'd like to have the members of the Ross County NAACP and supporters please stand. Thank you. So for the past couple months and last year, the Ross County NAACP has been very concerned with the lack of diversity in your teaching staff and in your school district. You know this. This isn't anything new. We are not here to beat up on you. We are not here to call people out. But we were here at the last meeting, and you said that you had plans and you were going to reach out to us, but no one reached out to us. Not one person reached out to us. We are ready to get to work. Since that meeting, we formed a strategic planning committee who has met twice. And we would like to meet with you on October 5th at 5 o'clock at the main library annex of the Chillicothe and Ross County Public Library in meeting room B1 to discuss how we can work together to close this gap. As Nancy has said, as Terry Davis has said, former educators, it is very important for our kids in this school system, the African-American kids, the biracial kids, to see teachers that look like them so they can have someone to relate to, so they can have someone to talk to. And I'm not saying that they couldn't go to another teacher, a Hispanic teacher or a Caucasian teacher, but the statistics show that they feel more comfortable going to someone that looks like them. Also, just on Friday, I had someone reach out to me from a staffing studio who said that they wanted to work with us. And I said, you want to work with us? And she said, they're trying to work with Chillicothe City School System. So my question is, why would you bypass working with the people in this community to go to a staffing system who you're going to have to pay instead of working with the people in this community who are concerned, who can help you?
We will clear that up at our meeting. We were waiting on Patrice to get in touch with us. That's how we left it with her at the last meeting.
No,
So
that's not how we took it.
I'm sorry if that was misunderstood.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the fourth and final visitor request to speak is Rick McConnell.
Good evening, everybody. I am Rick McConnell. I come in support of Adrienne D'Souza, Nancy Robertson, Terry Davis, and the NAACP committee about this issue. I was a student raised throughout my whole entire school career in the Chillicothe City School System. I've known Debbie throughout my school career. I've known Mr. Bonner throughout my whole school career. Liz, I went to school with some of your kids in my school career. And each step of the way of my education, from preschool till 12th grade, I had that representation of who I looked like. And I can't tell you how that impacted me as a student, as a then Black young male, and even now in my adulthood, how I look back on it, and it has changed who I've become in the world. I'm in preschool. I went to Western, what is now the primary school, I believe, right? Where Western was? Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm churchy. I'm used to feedback Talk back to me. Talk back to me. When Terry first spoke, I almost clapped. Amen. Amen. But when I was at Western, and whether or not they had direct hands with me or they were a teacher with me, that their presence still made a difference. So when I was in preschool, there was an aide there named Maggie Brown. That made a difference because even as a little 3-year-old or 4-year-old or whatever old I was when I was in preschool, that made a difference to see someone that looked like me and that was in an aide or a teacher or whatever position she held. That made a difference and that impacted me. When I moved from preschool to Worthington Elementary and I was there from kindergarten through 5th grade, I had my kindergarten teacher was Judy Tanner. And as I tell this story, and I'll try to keep it 3 minutes, I'm Baptist. That made a difference having a teacher in my room teaching me every step of the way. And even the fact that, she looked like me. And not only did she look like me, but she was raised in this community. So she knew who my people were. And that made me feel even better that I had someone in this building teaching me that knew my family. Wow, I feel different. I feel like I can go to someone and I feel like I can talk to someone. I feel like I can relate to somebody. And then I moved to the middle school and I go to the middle school and I have, the time she was there for a short period of time, Zelma Jackson. And then I moved to the high school and then I have Sue Gray and then I have Retha Jones. And then actually at the middle school too. She was in the middle school, then she followed me to the high school. All these people, Napoleon Cross, Sue Gray, I said that. Terry Davis at the middle school. There's been multiple people. Every step along the way, I had that representation, and it made a difference in who I became in the world. And I can't imagine going back and not having that. To someone who sees their self in so many places as you go, wherever you may go, you see yourself a lot. And when you come into an educational setting and you don't see someone that looks like you that's teaching you or someone that looks like you that's guiding you, whether or not you realize it does make a difference. And so I just want to urge the superintendent and the board to do whatever is necessary to get minority educators, to get minority staff in our system, because we are a great system. Chillicothe is great. It always has been, and it always will be, but there's work we need to do. And we are here to help you in any way we can to make this happen. And I hope that the words that we have spoke today make a difference and get the ball moving instead of just sitting. Thank you.
Thank you. That was the last one.
That was the last one that I have. And
No, I think
were there any others that didn't get a paper turned in?
I don't think so.
next we'll have our student liaison report. Muriel?
So throughout this past month, as school has been settling in, a lot of achievements have been made in the sports department, many in the football games and volleyball games, tennis games, cross country, golf. Just this past Saturday, the marching band went to their first competition of the season and received best color guard, best percussion, and second best overall band. Preparations are underway for the music concerts this coming month, with the middle school and high school choir concerts on October 5th, and the middle school and high school band concerts on October 6th, and the orchestra concerts for the middle school will be on October 11th,
and the high school on October 12th. Yeah, that's it. And the band usually for CIS, Mission Cliche, and the primary school last Friday. And this coming month on the 13th, the Cavalite Show Choir will be touring those same places, including TP.
Thank you very much. You're part of the color guard, aren't you? Yeah, well, congratulations. Very good. Legislative update, Mr. Dennis, do you have anything?
I do not have an update.
Thank you. Treasurer reports and recommendations, Mrs. Ayler.
Yes, I'd like to recommend items A through E for board approval tonight.
Is there a motion to approve the treasurer's recommendations?
Make a motion to that.
Mr. Bonner, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Porter, any discussion? I would like to say thank you to those who made donations. Chillicothe Professional Firefighters Association, Pixel Activities Committee, and First Church of God. Any other discussion? Roll, please.
Mr. Porter,
Yes.
Mr. Bonner,
Yes.
Ms. Corzine,
Yes.
Mr. Dennis,
Yes.
and Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
Superintendent recommendations, Ms. Swinehart.
I'd like to recommend A through L, but we have several contracts on here, so I just want to give you a real quick rundown on some of those. There's one on here for the facilities agreement between the Y and Chillicothe City Schools. That's the pool rental for the swim team. The Ross County Board of DD contract services, that's for instructional and related services for our students that have severe autism and multiple disabilities. We have a couple classrooms in our district, and then some preschool services. And the master agreement with CEA, that's the teacher's contract, and appreciate all the hard work that we've had many meetings together to get this resolved. So we went with a 2-year contract this time. Normally they're 3. So we will do a 2-year contract and then get together and get back on a 3-year track after 24. And then the Knight Consulting Group and the Staffing Studio contract. That is a contract to work with this consulting group on a strategic plan for training for the administration and the board and the entire staff on diversity, inclusion, and equity, and also to map out a recruiting and retention of minorities for the district. And Liz and Alyssa and I met with them. It's probably been about 3 weeks ago, just kind of going through, what some of our areas of need are, and this is what we've come up with. And those are all the contracts. And then there's also several new updates to board policies. These are just for review this month, and then next month we'll approve those. So A through L.
Is there a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendations?
I'm sorry, I have to comment first. I kind of agree with what was said there. Bypassing the local people and contracting outside for this. Before we would hire this Knight Consulting Group, I think we'd like to have the meeting October 5th and see what has to be said here locally and see what we can, do that way instead of, how much is that contract for?
It's $49,000, but the training piece is significant. I think that obviously working with everyone through the NAACP and anybody else that wants to join that, to be a part of developing that strategic plan makes sense. The training piece is pretty significant. It's a train the trainer, so we don't have to every year go out and do this. And then the recruiting piece is them helping link us up with other teachers of, minority teachers from other areas or around here. Also working with the city and trying to figure out, what is it that the city, as Chillicothe may want to do to help retain all new teachers, not just, teachers of minorities, but it's a big issue for all of our new teachers that don't live here, is how do we keep them here? They'll do a lot of focus group stuff. It's pretty involved to help us get a good strategic plan in place. It's not something we intended to do in isolation. It's just us.
I just, I'm not going to support this right now. I think we need to meet, talk October 5th, see what we got to say here. And I'm not saying this would not be the route we may go, but I just look at our school system. We got outstanding facilities, really almost second to none. As I think Rick pointed out, our community is really outstanding. Looking at our new bargaining agreement, we pay a very good, we pay a pretty good wage here. I mean, I'm just a little, off track here. I would like to talk on the 5th, just talk and see what we have to say, what everyone's got to say, which ways we can go. I just don't think we do a good enough job of maybe promoting what we have here. And we can get help with our local groups to promote this. That's just what I'm saying. $49,000 in training is, of course, going to be important, but right now, I just don't think I'm in a position to support this. Thank you.
Bill, thanks for bringing this up. I thought about this one today as well, and I agree with Bill. I think we take a moment to meet with our community partners and see what options are all out there. Listen to what we need to listen to, and then that contract can come in a few weeks if needed.
Well, October 5th isn't that far away, so we would pull that out and.
Okay. I just want to be clear, though, this was not something we were going to do in isolation. I think, like Ms. Corzine said, we had left the last meeting believing that Ms. Hussey was supposed to contact us. I gave her my cell phone number, so did Liz, and we were waiting on her to contact us to get a meeting set up. But I don't think any of us intended with this contract to write the strategic plan by ourselves. That's not the plan. That was not the conversation we had with them. We know that there's a lot of people that need to be involved, but I think sometimes a neutral facilitator is helpful in these kind of situations. And obviously, the training piece is significant. That's a very, very significant piece of this contract. So we can pull it. That's no problem. Pull it out.
Do we need a motion?
To do either?
I mean, to pull this from the agenda?
Yeah.
Well, I'll make a motion, we can pull the night consulting group from the agenda.
Okay.
Second.
Is there a second?
Yeah, who was the second? Mr. Dennis?
And then roll, please.
Mrs. Corzine?
Yes.
Mr. Dennis?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
And Mr. Bonner?
Yes.
Okay, and then we will vote on superintendent's recommendations. I don't know what that,
So it would be
everything except,
A through
Whole item
I,
J.
and then K.
okay, A through I and then K. I'll make that motion. Is there a second? Mr. Porter, any discussion? Roll, please.
Mrs. Corzine?
Yes.
Mr. Dennis?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
And Mr. Bonner?
Yes.
Okay, and I did not see any discussion or informational items.
I would just like to recognize the students and the staff at the 712 building last Friday with the active shooter threat. That was a pretty frightening time, and our staff and students implemented everything we've taught them, and they just did a great job. And I'd also like to recognize all the officers that got here super, super quick, and they were great in a very, very scary situation. And I just appreciate everybody's taking that seriously, because it was serious at the time. It was pretty scary.
I was going to ask a question. Do we plan on doing some type of after-action review or report?
Yeah, we had a debriefing today with the staff and then the admin and the resource officers or the police department came and we did a debriefing. There's a couple things we're going to change. We're putting together a video for the students to just kind of review some things that we, maybe needed to get a little tighter on, just to remind them. And then there's a couple other items that we need to take a look at that we realize that were a little problematic. And I'm putting together a letter for the parents, just kind of, if you're out here waiting on a kiddo and something like that happens, here's what you need to do. Or if there are students out there that got off of a bus from Pickaway Ross, remind your kiddos what to do. So yeah, we've had those meetings this morning, pretty involved in those.
Okay, well, that leads me into comments, and I wanted to start by also recognizing our school resource officers, our administration, our teachers and staff, the students, and our local law enforcement in regards to Friday's swatting incident. Everyone did an excellent job following protocol and protecting the kids. And I'm proud of all of you, and I thank you. There were a lot of things that I heard over, since then. Things about Mr. Ballantyne's voice when he came on the intercom. Everybody knew it was a serious situation. Officer Preston running through the halls, slamming doors shut, yelling to everybody to get in lockdown. People could tell by the look and the tone of voice that this was serious, and everybody followed what needed to be done. Heard stories of teachers, pulling kids out of the hallway into rooms. There were teachers who sat on the floor with kids who were very upset, calming them down, keeping everybody as calm as possible. Students helping teachers barricade doors. How quickly the law enforcement did get here. We had Officer Bolton House, who was at the middle school or at the intermediate school. He got here before the other police officers did. The fear that everybody felt when they heard those officers running through the hallway, because they didn't know what was really going on or that it was a hoax. I know it was a very tense and frightening situation, but everybody kept calm until it was over, and kept the kids safe. And you did what it took to do that without considering what was going to happen to yourself. I think Matt and Destin both had guns pointed in their direction at, when this first happened. So again, I'm proud of you and I thank you. Anybody else have comments?
Yes, once again, this certainly echo what President Corzine said. Congratulations on that great job Friday. Also, congratulations and just thank Ms. Swinehart and the team. I know everybody for putting all the effort into getting the contract approved. I know that's a lot of work, tedious work. I know that Mr. Davis and I can look at that and say, why weren't they paying that kind of money back when we were teaching here? But times change, don't they, Mr. Davis? So, but thank you for the work you put in. I know it's a lot of effort. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's no other comments. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion.
And is there a second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.